I watched her pop open the champagne bottle like she just won the damn lottery. Technically, she did. She stood in the kitchen of the house my father built, laughing with her friends, talking about her early retirement. What she didn't know, that bubbly celebration was about to be the most expensive mistake of her life, you see. When my ex-wife forged those documents and stole my inheritance, she thought I'd crumble. She thought I'd move on and let it go. But what she never realized, I had already started working with my own lawyer. Quietly, meticulously. And on the day she walked into court thinking she'd win again, I walked in with a folder full of receipts and a grin she'll never forget. Asterisk, I still remember the day I got the call. It was a gray Tuesday, mid-October, and I had just clocked out of a brutal 12-hour shift. I was working construction back then, trying to save enough to renovate my dad's old house. It needed a new roof, new plumbing, the works. When my phone buzzed, I almost ignored it, but it was from my dad's lawyer, Ray. "I'm sorry," he said. "Your father passed last night." I don't remember much of what he said after that, just static. Like everything in my head went silent. My dad and I didn't always get along, but he was my only real family left. The next few days were a blur of funeral plans, phone calls, and old photos, and then came the reading of the will. That's when things started to feel off. I sat across from my dad's lawyer in his office, wood-paneled walls, shelves full of thick legal books, and beside me sat her, my ex-wife Vanessa. We'd been divorced for nearly a year. She cheated. I walked clean break, or so I thought. When the lawyer opened the envelope and started reading, I could barely breathe. To my son Raymond Cole, I leave the entirety of my estate, the house, land, savings, and all remaining assets. I exhaled slowly, fighting back tears, until there appears to be a revised will. The lawyer interrupted himself, pulling out a second document. This one's dated 2 months before Mr. Cole's passing, and that's when it happened. This revised version left everything, and I mean everything, to Vanessa. I froze. My eyes locked on her, and she just sat there with the fakest sad smile on her face, pretending to be shocked. "Raymond," she whispered, "I had no idea. Your father and I did talk a lot after the divorce, but I never expected this. Double quotes BULLS. *T. My dad hated her. He called her snake in designer heels. There was no chance in hell he changed his will to leave her everything. But proving it, that would be the hard part. The lawyer said the signatures looked valid. The dates matched, the witnesses were there. It looked real." She stood up, wiped a fake tear, and said, "Maybe this is his way of saying goodbye. I'll make sure the house is well taken care of." And just like that, she walked out. With the deed, I hit rock bottom. I crashed on my friend Jared's couch for 2 months. I drank more than I should have. I called every lawyer I could afford, but they all said the same thing. If the documents are legit, you don't have a case. But I knew Vanessa, and I knew she didn't pull this off alone. She was clever, but not clever enough to forge a will without help. That's when I started digging. That I got a job as a handyman just a town over, under the radar. And in the evenings I started doing my own research. I pulled every version of my dad's will, talked to the notary, found the witnesses, tracked their online presence. And finally, I found the first crack in her perfect little fraud. One of the witnesses had moved to Arizona 3 years ago, and hadn't been back since. But wait, the will was supposedly signed just 2 months before Dad passed. Gotcha. That was the first domino. I hired a quiet but sharp legal team, one that worked on contingency. I couldn't pay them up front, but they saw what I saw, a fraud case waiting to blow up. And the best part, I didn't say a word to Vanessa. I let her enjoy the house, let her redecorate, repaint, even host parties. She posted everything online: champagne on the patio, new furniture. One post said, "From heartbreak to homeowner, #blessed." She had no idea I was watching, that I had her every word, every expense, every timeline, all logged and time-stamped. I was letting her build her castle, just so I could pull the foundation out from under it. Cliffhanger, rehooked to next chapter. And then one night I saw her post a story that changed everything. Because someone was in the background, someone I recognized, and they had no idea I was coming. Asterisk, it was a Tuesday night when I saw it. Vanessa had posted another one of her champagne and fake laughter Instagram stories. You'd think she was some kind of influencer, the way she flaunted my dad's house. Sorry, her house like a damn trophy. But I wasn't watching for her. I was watching the background, and there he was, half blurred, but clear enough for me to recognize. Jake Banner, the same Jake who used to do paperwork for sketchy real estate deals back in the day. We crossed paths once at a poker night when he bragged about making signatures appear like magic. He was a notary, or at least he had been until he got busted for falsifying loan docs. I didn't know he was out of jail. And now he was in my house, sipping wine in the kitchen with my ex-wife. That was all I needed. The next morning, I got in my truck and drove 2 hours to find him. Old contacts from my construction days told me where he worked now. Some second-rate mortgage place that looked like it was still stuck in 2008. I waited until lunch and caught him in the parking lot. He looked older, grayer, but the same smug smile. "Ray Cole," he said, lighting a cigarette. "Didn't think I'd see you again." "I need to talk," I said flatly. "About what?" He grinned. "Real estate." I didn't waste time. I showed him the photo from Vanessa's story, paused perfectly on his half face in the background. He flinched. "Relax," I said. "I'm not here to start a fight. I'm here to make a deal." His eyes narrowed. "Go on." I laid it out. I knew he notarized the forged will. I had evidence the original witnesses weren't even in the state. If I went to court, his name would be right there with hers, and unlike Vanessa, he was already a convicted felon. But if he cooperated, gave me a signed affidavit admitting the forgery, I'd keep him out of the spotlight. No criminal charges, just a clean takedown of her. He hesitated, smoked, pacing slowly behind his car like he was doing moral math. Then he said the one word I'd been waiting for: deal. The next few weeks were a blur. Jake sent over a signed and notarized affidavit admitting his role in falsifying the second will, including names, dates, and even bank transfers Vanessa made to him through a crypto wallet. Every piece of the puzzle slid into place. My legal team was thrilled. "This is airtight," my lawyer grinned. "She's gonna fold like a lawn chair." Still, we waited. You don't rush revenge. You let it simmer. Meanwhile, Vanessa was living it up. New car, weekly spa visits, a vacation to Miami, all paid for by what should have been my inheritance. And then came the cherry on top. She listed the house for sale. Yep, the same house my dad spent 40 years paying off. She was going to flip it, cash in, and vanish. That's when we struck. The lawsuit was filed under seal first, so she didn't see it coming. My lawyer arranged for the court to freeze the sale of the house, emergency injunction based on fraudulent ownership claims. A sheriff showed up at her front door the same day the realtor was supposed to take listing photos. I wish I could have seen her face, but the real blow came the following week when she was officially served with court papers, fraud, forgery, civil penalties, and a demand to return everything. She called me. I let it ring. She texted, "Ray, what the hell is going on? What are you doing?" I replied with just one word: justice. I wasn't just suing her, I was suing everyone involved. Jake had given us enough to implicate 2 other people, one of them Vanessa's sister, who'd posed as a witness in the fake will. The web of lies unraveled fast, and her little empire crumbling. Still, she didn't give up easily. She hired a lawyer, some bulldog type, and tried to turn the tables. She has a claim through emotional connection, her lawyer argued. She cared for the property, maintained it, invested in it. That's when my lawyer dropped the bomb. "We have evidence of forged documents, false testimony, and financial fraud. And here's a statement from a co-conspirator. Game over." The court date was set, and even though I already had the truth, I wasn't prepared for what Vanessa would do next, because desperate people don't go down quietly. The courthouse was colder than I expected. Not in temperature, in energy. It smelled like polished floors and worn-out nerves. I wore my only decent suit, dark blue, pressed. My lawyer, Kristen, told me to look calm, confident, not like a man seeking revenge, she said, but like a man standing in truth. Vanessa walked in 15 minutes late, sunglasses on like she was stepping off a red carpet. Her new lawyer, some smug, overconfident guy named Daniel, strutted beside her like he had already won. She didn't even glance my way, but I saw it, that little flicker behind her eyes. Fear. We were in civil court. Not criminal yet, but the stakes were massive. If the judge ruled in my favor, she'd lose the house, be forced to return all the funds she spent from my dad's estate, and possibly face perjury charges. First, Vanessa's side gave their version. Mr. Cole had a strained relationship with his father, Daniel began, standing tall like he was reading a Shakespeare monologue. In his final months, Mr. Cole Sr. grew close to Vanessa again. She visited him, cared for him, He expressed multiple times his wish to leave her the home. He pulled out pictures of Vanessa sitting on my dad's porch, ones she posted months ago. All smiles and filters like that proved anything. Kristen didn't flinch. She waited, patiently, and when it was our turn, she stood and simply said, "Your Honor, we have clear documented evidence that the revised will was forged." And then she dropped a stack of papers on the bench like a bomb. We presented Jake Banner's affidavit, bank transfers, the false notarization, and the kicker, a sworn statement from one of the fake witnesses, now cooperating in exchange for immunity. The judge raised an eyebrow. "These are very serious allegations." Vanessa leaned forward and whispered something to her lawyer. Then everything spiraled. Daniel stood up again and, to our surprise, didn't deny the forgery. Instead, he pivoted. Double quotes. "Yes, Your Honor, the will was amended. Mistakes were made," he said, "but Vanessa acted under the belief that she was honoring Mr. Cole's final wishes. The actual forgery was orchestrated by others. She was manipulated." My jaw dropped. She was throwing Jake, her co-conspirator and party buddy, straight under the bus. "She's not a criminal," Daniel insisted. "She's a grieving woman who got caught in something bigger than herself." Grieving. This woman posted selfies in my father's armchair 3 days after the funeral. Kristen didn't need to say much after that. She turned to the judge and said, "With all due respect, this grieving woman withdrew $84,000 from the estate to lease a luxury vehicle and take a trip to Miami. And here are the receipts." She laid them on the desk. One by one, it was like watching dominoes fall. The judge recessed for the day. Said he'd return with a preliminary decision in the morning. Vanessa brushed past me on her way out, muttering, "You'll regret this." I didn't respond. I just smiled. I already had. That night, I got a call from Jake. She tried to pay me off. He said, told me to change my statement before tomorrow. I asked him what he said back. He laughed. I told her I'd already made peace with going down, but I wasn't going down alone. Respect, I wasn't expecting it from Jake, but in that moment he earned it. The next morning, the courtroom was quieter, tense. The judge walked in with his decision. "The court finds substantial and compelling evidence of fraud in the revision of the will, and therefore rules in favor of the plaintiff, Raymond Cole." I exhaled for the first time in days. Vanessa didn't even move. The judge continued. "The house and all associated assets are to be returned to Mr. Cole. Miss Vanessa Fields is ordered to repay damages, and a formal report will be filed with the district attorney regarding potential criminal conduct." That was it. My house, my father's legacy, mine again. As we were leaving, Vanessa finally spoke. "You think you won," she hissed, catching me by the arm. "You humiliated me." I looked at her, really looked, and said, "No, you did that all by yourself." Then I walked out. I thought it was over, but just when I started rebuilding, Vanessa came back one last time, not for the house, but for revenge. I thought it was over. I had the house back. Vanessa was out of my life. The judge had ruled in my favor, and criminal charges were pending against her. My lawyer even popped open a bottle of cheap champagne in her office that day. I laughed, for real, for the first time in months. But revenge doesn't always stop at the courtroom door, especially when the person you're dealing with is someone like Vanessa, someone who doesn't just want to win, she wants you to lose. 2 weeks after the trial, I came home from the grocery store and saw the damage. My front door had been kicked in. The kitchen window was shattered. The living room looked like a tornado had passed through it. Everything. My dad had left behind old photos, his military medals, the books he used to read, torn, burned, destroyed, and on the wall, written in black spray paint, were just 2 words: "Your turn." I knew who did it. No one else hated me that much. The cops came, took photos, filed a report, but with no cameras and no physical evidence, they said it'd be hard to prove. I wasn't surprised. Vanessa was smart enough not to get caught this time, but that's where she made her mistake. She thought I needed proof. She forgot I still had leverage. During the lawsuit, we uncovered everything, not just the forged will. We found undeclared offshore accounts, fraudulent tax returns, and one particular little contract she'd signed under a fake name to secure a car loan using forged documents. All of it was quietly logged, and my lawyer had already handed it over to a contact in the DA's office just in case she tried something exactly like this. 2 days later, I got the call. "Mr. Cole, this is Detective Harmon, Financial Crimes Unit. We've opened an investigation into Vanessa Fields based on your legal team's submission. Are you available to give a full statement?" You bet I was. I told them everything: the break-in, the spray paint, her past behavior, how she faked her way into my father's estate, then tried to frame herself as the victim in court. The detective just nodded. "We've had our eye on her. She's made enemies in 3 counties." 2 weeks later, They arrested her. Not for the break-in, not yet, but for fraud, identity theft, and tax evasion. They had enough to put her away for 5 years minimum, and when the DA announced charges, they used my name as the cooperating witness. Vanessa tried to paint me as the villain on social media. She made tearful videos, blaming a vengeful ex-wife for ruining her life. Comments were split. Some believed her, most didn't, but I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because 2 months later she was in court again, this time in an orange jumpsuit, and I didn't even bother to show up. Let the system handle it. Meanwhile, I rebuilt. The house took some work. I replaced the broken window, repainted the living room, hung up a few new photos, ones that mattered. Me, my dad, my dog. No lies, no fakes, no drama. I even turned the garage into a little woodshop. My dad always wanted one, and for the first time in years, life felt quiet again. Not perfect, not easy, but mine. People ask me sometimes if I'd do it all again, the digging, the waiting, the patience, and I tell them this: revenge isn't about yelling louder or swinging harder or swinging harder. It's about letting them think they've won, right until the moment you take it all back, piece by piece. She stole everything from me. I let her enjoy it. Then I took it all back, and more.